The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 286. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on the show. She is an actress, a host, and she was the former Miss Asian America, and I'm just excited to have her on and share her story today. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Jennifer Field. Jennifer, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to our listeners.
Hi, Sheena. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm really glad to be a guest on this podcast, which I love what it's all about. I am from the Bay Area, born and raised, and I work as an actress and a host, and I am a former Miss Asian America. I was actually Miss Asian America in 2006, so this is 10 years ago now, but doesn't even feel that long ago. And yeah, it's there's a lot to talk about the journey to who I am today and sort of what your podcast is about, which is self-confidence.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Jennifer, what would be your cultural background?
I am half Korean and half English, Irish, German. So my mom is from Seoul, South Korea, and my dad's from Roswell, New Mexico, alien town. So I'm a hoppa.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
Guys, I absolutely love fake it till you make it. It never fails for me, and it's so easy just to kind of have as a mantra, and it's really casual, and there's so many really beautiful self-confidence quotes, said by really famous people that I absolutely love, but that one always sticks for me because it basically means if you're not feeling confident and you're not feeling that great, if you just pretend like you are, you eventually become that. It's that whole thing, like if you're not having a good day, if you just smile, your body actually starts to feel better. And so it's in any situation, whether you're in a job interview, on a first date, doing something you've never done before. If you just kind of pretend like you're supposed to be there, or you know what you're doing and you're just acting the part, you just kind of like skate by, and either no one will notice, or you will actually just sort of become it, and you'll become or do whatever you intended to do because you're just pretending. And so there's actually no harm in doing it. And I found when I fake it till I make it, nobody really notices what I'm really feeling or thinking inside. And I don't notice it either anymore. And I start to forget, and I sort of just accomplish whatever I'm trying to accomplish in those moments.
Thanks for sharing that quote. And, it's true, right? Because sometimes, most of the time, all the time, our mind can't even tell what's fake or what's real. So when we fake to be confident or fake to be the job that we want or the business that we want, we're like training our minds to make whatever is what we're pretending to become real. So, I really like that quote that you mentioned. And in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
I would describe self-confidence as loving yourself in no matter what situation and no matter who you're with and what you look like. I do find that self-confident is when you're even at your very worst, or you feel your worst, or you look your worst, or you're in a situation that is creating conflict or creating discomfort, and you still manage to just love yourself and continue on and power through. You go to the Rite Aid, you go to the pharmacy, and you run into an ex-boyfriend, and you are wearing your bum clothes and you have no makeup on. How do you still be self-confident? Or, for example, making a huge mistake, having something happen where you feel horrific and you don't feel that great, but just still loving yourself. So I think it is a self-love that happens that you bring in no matter what is thrown at you. From small situations, really minor stuff, to something that's much more deep and long-term.
Thanks for sharing that definition. And I love that you mentioned, loving yourself even at your worst because we're so good at hating at our worst. When loving ourselves totally means the good, the bad, and the ugly. So thanks for sharing that great
Yeah.
definition. And, Jennifer, what was your life like before your discovery of self confidence?
Yeah, I love that you asked that because I do have a marked turn with that. And I know that, for example, when I did Miss Asian America, I did that pageant. I was completely frozen, nervous the entire show. During my song, during my interview, during my swimsuit portion, intro, everything. But nobody could tell. And that was an experience for me because I was in my early 20s at the time that I was just kind of going through the motions and doing the best I could. And what happened was I won the pageant. I also won the talent portion, and everyone said how great I did. And I remember realizing I had no idea I was going to win. I actually thought I was not going to win. I actually thought there's no way I will win. Or I'm mixed race. They're never going to select me Miss Asian America. I'm too white looking. I don't represent the community, which is completely wrong because, that was just my own lack of confidence in my mixed ethnicity. I grew up in an area where everyone in my neighborhood was Vietnamese or Filipino and Mexican. I grew up with Asians. I hung out with Asians. So I always was embarrassed of being white. I had the opposite sort of Asian American experience that most Asians have. And I was ashamed of being white. And I wanted to hide it, And then it was the same thing when I did the pageant as an adult. I remember just doing it, and my cousin had done it 10 years before. That's how I knew about it. And then she didn't win, but she made like top 10. And I remember thinking, I'm just going to enter just for the experience. But I actually won. And that was sort of like the beginning of understanding who you are as an adult, and that sometimes if you just pretend or you just try, that you can achieve whatever you're doing. And I feel like I really discovered who I was, how I can be when I'm self-confident when I became a mom. So when I had my son 3.5 years ago, after I became a mom, for me, that was actually a major stepping point in terms of when I discovered my self-confidence. Because what happens is when you go through that experience of carrying a child and seeing your body stretched out, you're getting worried about all this physical stuff, worried about health. It's not easy. Your emotions are out of whack. You go through the pain of having a child. I had a C-section, so it's both ways out are difficult. Childbirth or C-section surgery, both are extremely painful and put your body through major, wreckage. And your breasts change when you're breastfeeding and all that kind of mommy stuff. What I found is it made me feel like a soldier, and I felt like I went to war and back. And I know that's nothing like what, God bless, our veterans do for us. But just as a female, having that life-changing experience of being a mom helped my self-confidence because I used to be worried about a zit. I used to be worried about, I look fat today. I used to be worried about, why isn't my hair right, or why don't I look right? And actually now I don't even care anymore. I do care because it's important to, people appreciate when you put effort into your hair and makeup and clothes because that's just the way society is. And I'm not knocking that either. But you have to be, like I said, you have to be confident no matter what you are, no matter how you feel. You don't need to have makeup on when you're confident. If you do put makeup on and you do put some hot shoes on, that's awesome. And maybe that'll give you that extra edge that day. But what I found is that in all my days and hours and whoever I'm with and wherever I am, I at least try to not care and just love myself and just be like, yeah, I'm awesome. I don't need to fix my hair and, play with it so it's perfect. I know I'm awesome, and it's really more about who I am and my intelligence and my integrity. That is more important than looks. And when you have physically changing experience like having a kid, that will come automatically, I think, for any woman. And not to say go have a kid to get confident, but I'm just saying is for me, that was a plus. That was kind of a perk to becoming a mom. I just cared less about superficial things, and I became more like, yeah, here I am. This is me, and it's sort of subconscious because I went through that experience of having a child, being pregnant, and feeling like a warrior.
Thanks for sharing that. And, I think being a mom is probably one of the biggest, life events to have. And people take it for granted, not knowing like what you have to do to be a mom, take care of a child, to do all these things, and to realize, you have that gift that you can give to someone, that gift of life. And like,
Right.
I didn't believe you had a kid either. So
I know.
maybe it's the Asian genes. I don't know. But when I saw your picture, I was like, I didn't believe it either. So, most of the people were right. And Jennifer,
Yeah.
if our listeners were tuning into your episode and they're in a similar journey to self-confidence, what would be that one tip you would give to her?
I do think that certain books and certain experiences can kind of propel you towards getting confident. I know that it's a journey, and sometimes when you're coming from, it's just giving me chills right now. I was just talking about this. I have a show on a new app called Bid Chat, and the show is called Hapa Ning. We were just talking about that, about the Tiger Mom thing, and it's not, everybody's experience is different. I know it's kind of a stereotyped word, but it is true that if you're from Asian family or have an Asian parent, they don't really work on self-confidence, individuality. Now, this is just a very blanket generalization. Everybody is different. I have several friends that had parents that encouraged their creativity and sort of built up their self-esteem and confidence. And I feel like if you're from an Asian family, a lot of times they're more worried about what's on paper and, getting a high SAT score and studying hard and playing a musical instrument, doing all these things. And they're not worried about your mental health. Asians don't talk about the mental health stuff. Like, I believe firmly that my mom needs therapy, my Korean mom, and she doesn't understand that. She doesn't understand how important mental health is and therapy. And it's not like it doesn't mean you're completely insane. It just means that you're checking in with yourself. And so for anyone that's listening that feels doubtful for whatever reason in your dating life, in your private life, in your life with your parents, when you're in school, at work, you're having confidence issues, my biggest recommendation is to find an experience like a retreat or a book or a program that will propel you, that will sort of like make a change for you. I know that early on, a friend introduced me to the movie and the book, The Secret. That is an example of something that maybe works for people. I know that for some people, religion really helps. And if you can find the right religion, find something for you, then that really works. I know people that have done the Landmark Forum and MIT, and that really worked for them. But again, these are just suggestions. I personally have not done MIT or the Landmark Forum. They cost money, and there is some bad rep a little bit about them too. But the main thing is the idea of finding something that sort of like gives you, that kind of will take you off on the path that you want. Sometimes you need like a catalyst. From there, that's where your journey will continue to grow, I believe.
Thanks for sharing that. And I believe that too. And, and I agree with you with Asian parents, right? They're not as expressive. I mean, it's just a generalization. And, it's up to us to also find, ways to change, like you mentioned, whether it's a book or meditating or, going to a self-development retreat program. Whatever works for you, that's what you should do. There's some people who feel like they have to do it because someone tells them. Well, if you feel that way, then
Right.
That's not the right way of doing it. It has to feel good with you. It has to feel light. It has to feel that it's changing for you and not for someone else. So I really like that tip that you mentioned. And if our listeners wanted to connect with you and get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Thank you, Sheena. Yeah, I am on Instagram. I'm on the gram. It is at Miss MISS Jennifer Field. Jennifer, Jennifer, Field, Field, Miss Jennifer Field. And then Twitter is just Jennifer Field, at Jennifer Field, Jennifer Field. I am on Facebook too. You can find me. I think my favorite right now is Twitter. I like not always being tied down to posting a photo. I love to use Twitter. And I'm also now on a new app called Bid Chat, BID. Bid Chat. It's available for download on Google Play and App Store, and it's basically like Periscope, it's a live streaming app, and I have a show on there that's actually all about the Hapa experience called Hapa Ning. So you can also find me on Bid Chat, which is bidchat.com/Jennifer Field, or if you look up Jennifer Field. And if you have any guests, Sheena, that you want to send my way for my show eventually, we could talk about that later too.
Sounds good. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Jennifer, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Jennifer's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I just want to thank Jennifer for taking the time to share her story with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sheena. This was really great, and I'm excited. I'm excited about people listening to this and hopefully finding something they can take away from it.
It was an honor having you on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of the Tao of Self-Confidence. Get your free self-talk tape for building self-confidence by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.